that has a totally different vibration to the people who receive that information. It isn't about selling. It becomes for them that same passing off of the torch of choice. Yes, I'm going to give you the same opportunity, the same option for the choice that I made, and look at what that one choice has brought to my life. So, every morning, what are the things, if you could only work an hour a day, maybe for some of you it isn't even an hour a day, if you span out over a week, maybe you're only working an hour a week, whatever the time amount that you dedicate to your Take Shape for Life business, what 1, 2, or 3 at the most activities, if you do them, will move your business forward? Open it up. So what would be those
calling
activities?
Clients, calling coaches.
And
my
of course,
2 favorite things to do.
You know, and I hope you don't mind me sharing the fact that I have never met anyone who is as good at picking up that phone day in and day out and making those phone calls. And look at everything, that choice every day. Making it does for you. It's incredible. And that is fueled and backed by a strong sense of why. And it doesn't really matter for each of you whether anyone knows your why or not. It's only important that you tie it to your daily activities so that when you get up in the morning, you're excited. How many years have you been in the business now?
10 years.
As excited 10 years in?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're in a meeting this afternoon, and I could watch you. You're like this. You wanted to get up and get out of the meeting and pick up the phone because that is connected to your larger why. And that is awesome. Don't we all wish we had just an ounce of that, right? Every morning when it comes time to pick up the phone and call. So that would be an example of one of the critical activities that moves your Take Shape for Life business forward. What would be another example?
Making money.
Making money. So what are the activities that would lead to making money?
Excellence at the point of service, getting my client base to be more involved and more, just excited about what we're doing.
Perfect.
Hear from me so I can engage them and make them not give up.
Awesome. So one of the things that he's demonstrating here, that North Star, the reason that's on the slide is I'd like for each of you to figure out the why. After watching the video, hopefully you'll be a little bit more clear, and or working with your coaches and really just digging in, because it is the most important concept that you'll learn, translating your why into your North Star. So for you, making money probably is that North Star, and every single day when you get out of bed, you face the star and you walk towards it. And it's just like, going all the way back to early times, following the star to Bethlehem, right? They managed to get to the destination without GPS or maps or Siri or iPhones, and just with a cause and a purpose and a drive so compelling that every single step that they took was on course and lined up with what their destination was.
Can I clarify one other way?
Absolutely.
I didn't mean necessarily that I'm trying to be wealthy directly by it, but like my staff are women who do not have a vision that this company can give. But when my wife started showing them about the money side of it, they got really excited, and now they're like wired for sound. So it was a means to an end.
Yes, and you know what? I'd like all of you to really, any of you that are in the audience who are a little bit afraid to own the fact that money really drives you, or when you were talking about the competitive edge, right? And watching somebody else, i.e. them, climb the ladder, if that is part of what makes you tick, absolutely harness that and ride it like a racehorse, because that is part of what fuels you and makes you tick. You don't have to advertise it, but own it. So for those of you that are motivated by money, bring it on, right? That becomes a benchmark for you to continue to re-engage moment to moment, to make the phone calls and do the activities that really get the job done. Did you ask?
I was just going to say, sometimes like when we're looking at bringing new coaches in, I feel that maybe I'm projecting it's the money and it offends people. You understand what I'm
Right,
saying?
and that's a brilliant sales tactic to not project on, but to ask questions, right? Get them talking about what their why is. And when you watch the video with Simon, that'll give you a nice way to open that dialogue. Because again, in talking about the business and creating opportunities to talk about the business, I know that is a huge issue, is that feeling you don't want to be salesy, right? You don't want to be a hard sell. You want it to be easy to flow naturally. The greatest way you can do that is to engage with questions and to be able to really draw out of them, what is it, that little spark that sets them on fire? So maybe you find out, you know, that, like for me, I was a competitive figure skater for 19 years. So there's got to be some kind of competition, some kind of artistic expression, a drive within me that when people ask me questions, you'd be able to get to that real nugget. And once you know that hot button for someone, that's how you would share with them the way that the program has touched your life through the lens of that. You know what I mean? So that it really is much more of a dialogue than it is an actual sales pitch, right? And that's part of customizing and art of the sale, right?
Yes, yes. And anyone who's been paying attention with what Dr. A's been talking about and what we talked about at conferences in the past is when you find somebody's why, you now have what we call intrinsic motivation. It's their reason for doing this.
Exactly.
And that's the difference. If they're picking up on your reason for why you want them to do this, that is extrinsic motivation. But when you go inside and you do the consultative conversation and you peel back the onion layer and find out what their why is, then you open up a spring of energy and it bursts out.
And it's natural. There's nothing salesy about it. It is on a totally different vibrational level than those conversations that you're really forcing.
Right.
So, organization is something that obviously is near and dear to my heart. I've been part of the Nerds Unite Club since practically birth. And one of the things that is fascinating to me about the art of organization is just the realization that it's really not about the stuff. So forget the idea that it is, and let's focus in on really at the heart of what clutter and true organization is all about. How many of you were here, well, at the other place when I spoke the last time to this group? So not that many repeat offenders. Fantastic. Yes, I was. And on the honeymoon, pulled the goalie. He went top corner. Now we have a baby. There's the Canadian in me giving you hockey references to conception, but at any rate, see, distractions equal clutter. Perfect example. So when we're talking about that North Star cutting into really being focused into your business, the goal is to try to eliminate as many distractions as we possibly can, because again, they are clutter. But really, what is clutter? Well, when you think of the word, it's a buzz term that's thrown around a lot these days, but when you look to the root of the actual word, it's derived from the Middle English term clotter. So if you imagine cutting yourself, your blood would just flow and flow and flow up until the point that a clot forms. And that clot is a stagnation of energy that prevents flow. So clutter in your body, translated into clutter in your space, it's the same thing. It's a stagnation of energy that prevents flow. So now you just saw the integration, didn't you? Because I actually felt it. I felt the little goosebumps on my arm right there. That integration is why it isn't about the stuff, because you can apply stagnation of energy to anything in your life. What is not working? Where is there not the wellspring of vitality? You've got clutter. It doesn't matter if it's on your calendar, if it's in a relationship, if it's in your space. The stagnation of energy that prevents flow is clutter. So, flow is a huge, huge word in my vocabulary in terms of its importance. Anybody read the book Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi? You'd probably remember if you read it just simply because his last name is so darn complex. So,
It's got it on audio too.
yes, which is actually a little easier to digest than the written version because it can be a little textbook.
What was the author's name?
I know. It's Mihai, which is spelled like Mihaly, like Mihaily, I think. And Csikszentmihalyi is I was going to say Z, but I'm in America, CZ, blah, blah, blah. 13
look up
letters
Flow.
long. Yeah. Google
Csikszentmihalyi.
Flow,
It's ridiculously
or put it
long.
on-
Just look up
yeah.
Flow. It's on Amazon, everything.
Yeah. But the Coles note of the whole book anyways, save you the time and the energy unless you really want to do the digestion. is getting into flow state. So does everybody know what I mean just when I'm glossing it over, calling it flow state? It's that place where you are so in the zone, you're so in tune, that time almost seems to stand still. Everything around you fades away, and you are tightly engaged, you're focused in, you are in the highest of high performance states. That high performance state called flow is really what we're trying to get our lives to be. So when you think of the trilogy, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, you want all of that to be in flow. So that once everything is integrated, once it's working, think of what a high performance life you are leading at that point. And you can watch people around you who are in that exquisite state. And it is just magic to watch it, isn't it? It's awesome. And not only is it magic to watch, but it's magic to feel when you are in that place. So if you haven't been there lately, just do your best to 2% shift your way over to getting there. Don't try to change your entire life against small choices, right? If you know that putting on the Black Eyed Peas on your iPod makes you, start to dance and gets you into a higher vibration feeling, that's the gateway to flow. Incremental leaps in that are going to make you feel better, because once you feel better, like attracts like, and before you know it, you're really on a roll. Same with weight loss, right? Every pound you lose gives you new momentum for more and more and more. Every rank that you achieve within Take Shape for Life gets you more and more excited to help more lives, to make more money, to do whatever your why is, to send your kid to a camp, to whatever that fueling driving force is. So, flow. Focus on it and look to your life every single day. Make sure you're incorporating things into it that give you that energy, so that if a few things feel difficult to you, like picking up the phone every morning, but you know that that's what you have to do, make sure you're listening to the Black Eyed Peas or doing your flow activity right before you move into picking up the phone, because you can feel the difference in your energy and in the way that you communicate once you're up and in the zone. All right, any questions about flow, about clutter, about any of that?
Why is it that we choose to allow the clutter to prevent us from flowing?
All right, part of it is mindset. A lot of things start with the mind. So, a lot of people will say, I need to get organized, right? That's the common phrase that people use. Well, getting organized implies that it's a one-time event, that once you do it, it's done, you'll never have to do it again. But as Whitney's laughing, it's not. It's not about getting organized, it's about being organized. It's a state of being, it is a way of operating in the world every single day. Every choice you make, do I lay down the jacket here? For now. For now is the death of organization, by the way, because for now means, oh, this jacket that was hot that I took off when I walked in and I'm going to put it right here. What happens to the energy in the jacket when you put it there for now? Cools off. Stagnates. Now you need motivation, whether intrinsic or not, to try to actually get up, to pick up the jacket and put it away where it belongs. Whereas if you just harness momentum, right, you can see it's all interconnected. Harness the momentum of coming in and the motion of taking it off to put it on the base of the stairs if the room is upstairs where it belongs. Keep it on the path. Keep it in motion. What is the tagline of Take Shape for Life?
Life in motion.
Life in motion. It's all integrated. It's the same thing. Keep it in motion, keeps vitality strong, keeps it from stagnating, keeps it from looking like piles of things everywhere, right? All right, so did that answer it to a T? We're going to probably continue to layer it on.
If you're not going to make it, is like the difference between somebody who wants to lose weight versus be healthy.
Yes, exactly. This is a lifestyle. And do you guys find that when you're talking to someone about losing weight and you say, oh, but it's a lifestyle, that it kind of misses the mark?
They all know it.
People.
They all
do know it, but
they
nobody
don't know what to do
wants
with
it because they want the silver bullet that right now is going to help them to lose 70 pounds.
They
And
want
then
the pill.
What's that?
They want the pill.
They want the pill. And I'm sure all of you want the pill for your office too, or the pill for whatever it
For the
is.
business.
For the business, exactly. And that's the fun secret of it all. Just apply what you've done with your weight loss. The pill is the daily choice. Keep it in motion. Vitality, keeping it strong. So, it is a process, it's not an event. And, like a song, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up. So, we have some physicians in the room. What happens in your body? It's also a process, a system. It's not an event. When you are looking for energy, vitality, you ingest food to get the calories, you digest it, and then you excrete it. Keeps everything flowing, the body's systems intact. When you talk about organization, same thing goes. Things come into your space, you utilize them, and part of the natural system and the way of keeping everything in motion is outflow or let it go. But that's what I usually see is the problem with most people, especially if we're talking about spaces and houses. I see a lot of constipated offices and houses. They're not letting anything go. And when you think of simple little rules, I know you love it, eh? 1 in, 1 out. You've heard organizers talk about that? So that when you, for example, a new pair of shoes, which Whitney saw my uber nerdiness tonight, because I was in flip-flops earlier, and of course have my little clear shoebox with these shoes in it, that 1 in, 1 out. So where are my flip-flops? They're in the box, right? Interchange, in and out. I limit, actually, the number of shoes that I have. And that has only just come about in realizing the lifestyle. I travel a lot. And when I go away for 3 to 7 weeks at a time, I start to realize how little I actually need, right? It's 80-20 rule, sometimes 90-10. You always wear the same things over. So what is all that extra stuff? It's excess. Now, one of the other really probably deep for this kind of group environment, but what I'd like you to take home to meditate on or to really think about the profound nature of this quote. Enough is as good as a feast. So, and there you go, there's a food piece that you can talk about with clients or with people as well. So pondering on that, enough is as good as a feast. What is the point of a big feast when you eat to the point where you're full? What's everything else? Excess. It's a waste. Why bother? So when you bring it down to just what's most important, that enough is at the heart of what satisfies you, your business. You know, business success is not comprised of a million different things. It's comprised of a few critical moves that are executed, repeated and repeated and repeated, and executed very well. It is the calls over and over again, and knowing what those activities are. And I think that's one of the coolest things about a system like Take Shape for Life. They give you the system. All you have to do is follow it. And your own story that you bring into the system is going to be what gives it life and energy. It's almost like your body when the soul is in versus when it is out. I lost my dad. It was very close to the last time I saw you, Aaron, so I don't quite remember how. He passed away on New Year's Eve. It'll be 2 years ago. And walking in and seeing my dad once he had passed, what an amazing experience. Because there was not a doubt in my mind that his soul had left the building. It was like he had taken off a jacket and thrown it on the bed and left. Because the casing was not the man. And that was the best closure I could have personally had in such a situation. To be able to see that and know, wow, he is someplace else. Regardless of what you believe in terms of, we don't need to talk religion and higher concepts tonight, but when you have an experience that hits you inside, that it shapes all of your future beliefs and helps you to make different choices. Those are those defining moments. And just like that casing, when you decide to let that go, that is what you breathe into the system of Take Shape for Life. The soul is your experience, your story, and you're breathing it into the life of the skeleton or the structure of the system that is your business. So utilize the tools. Office in Motion, go to the back end. All of you, and you're watching Greg and Whitney do it, right? Everything they do, one of the filters they have is it duplicatable? And the answer is always yes. That's part of their filter and their why with all of you, is making sure that whatever they're doing, knowing you guys are watching, you'll be able to implement and do it as well. So cool to have such a powerful system and to be able to add your own value into it. Absolutely awesome. So now with your calendar, how do you apply that same idea of ingest, digest, excrete, or inflow, utilize, let it go? You want to always think of every event, every calendar appointment, everything that you do as having a pre, a during, and a post. So if you have a coaching call, before the call, prep time, block it. And you know, if you're kind of a last minute person and you know that about yourself, harness that fact. Don't book your prep a week in advance. Book it right tight to the call so that you know you're doing it, you're using the momentum of your preparation to be on your toes the best possible that you can, to then move into the during, which is the actual coaching call itself. Post-call, you need to block time, because inevitably, I do a lot of coaching as well, there's follow-up items, things that you've promised to send to someone. So having whatever amount of time, for me, because I'm self-employed, I have to, when I'm done coaching, send an invoice. So every coaching call in Crystal Land is not complete until the invoice has been received by the client, or it has been processed at my end. I'm very sad to say that I, with being on mat leave, don't have my assistants, because that was a very nice flow where I could harness and utilize someone else to then apply leverage to this concept of really making sure that you're doing the activities that matter most. So think about that for yourself. What are the critical inches? What are those most important activities to your business? And then ask yourself that second advanced class question: do I have to be the one to do it, or is there someone better suited to do that piece? So that now you're really starting to leverage. And leverage is the idea that we're working on when we're moving from just building your own Take Shape for Life business to building a team, right? The concept that all of you are harnessing is that powerful idea of leverage. So any questions with pre, during, and post, and how you can apply that?
How much time do you usually recommend for the pre and the post? 'Cause
You'll know for your own activities what it takes. And again, pay attention. So for example, when we first started putting pre, during, and post in for travel. So when you go on a trip, you need packing time before you go. You've got all the things that you're going to need during the trip. And then when you come home, how often does the suitcase come in the door, open it up, you kind of pick your way out of it for the next week, it stagnates, before you know it, it's a giant disaster, and your performance for that entire week is totally hampered because you're not at optimal capacity. 15?
Yeah.
Thank you. Making sure that when you have a trip on your calendar, you come home and you have a predetermined, before you even leave, block of time to unpack is part of this same system. It might take you 2 or 3 trips to know how long to block for your packing time and how long to block for your post time. But if you really are committed and it's an activity that you know you're going to repeat over and over and over again, it makes sense to actually pay attention to the amount of time so that you'll know and you'll be a better estimator. Because estimating in and of itself is a skill. So really it is developed through patterning it out and creating the average.
One thing I just wondered if you'd include would be fail-safe. In other words, have redundancy built in, so the call fails and you can't get on the webinar, but you can still get to the vocal thing.
Yes.
So you have a backup system, so you're not gonna miss the call.
Absolutely, and especially, again, for those repetitive things, it makes sense to put those, what did you call them, fail-safe? To put fail-safes in. So while we're on the concept of travel, for example, one thing that we've instituted is a travel drawer. So that if you travel a lot, every time you think of something, oh, I want to remember to take this to St. Louis, immediately you would go and you'd take it and you'd put it in your travel drawer. Add it, add it, add it. The minute you're ready to start packing for St. Louis, you open the drawer, 9/10 of your items are already there. If it's something you use regularly and you don't want to forget, jot a note and put it in the travel drawer. So that again, you're applying that same principle to any of the activities that you do a lot. Some of you might not travel much, so just think about your own repetitive activities and apply the same idea or system into that. Any other questions on that piece? No? And it is really all about creating a system that you can trust. Anybody's office ever looked like this before? Post-it, hell or heaven to some people. Post-its are the crutch of the visual. So people are naturally either pilers or filers. Pilers think visually. They think in pictures, colors, and locations. So they could go and call to their assistant at their office and say, hey, yeah, go to my desk. Go to the third stack to the right, go halfway up the pile, there's a sheet of yellow paper. In the top right-hand corner, written in blue ink with a circle around it, there's a phone number. Read it to me, right? You all know who these people are. Then you've got the polar opposites. You've got the filers. They think very linear, that analytical brain that is turn-by-turn directions. Don't give me a map. I just want to know line by line how to get there. Generally speaking, their spaces look like nobody lives in them because everything is neatly filed away. However, they always get the golden award for being organized. But if you took someone at the polar end of filer and someone at the polar end of piler, you'd find that if you set a stopwatch and had a race to who could get their hands on one particular piece of information that they're looking for, they probably would come pretty close together to a tie. Because the filer might have 100 file folders that have a single sheet in each one. So for them to find that single sheet is going to take as long as the person sifting through piles and piles of stuff. So the more you can, again, bring it to the core. Core is where it's at. What's weight loss? What's everything else that's not? You're always losing the fat to bring it to the core. It's all about that centralization, bringing it in nice and tight. So for pilers and filers, bring it to the center. Try to keep your files to 1 inch thick. And you'll find that when it hits an inch, it'll naturally split. When you flip through it, I've never met a file that didn't instantly split into two and you know exactly how to categorize each of the two. But start trending towards something that is a little different than either of the poles or the extremes. And part of how you would do that, so our cutlery drawers, we never have cutlery chaos, do we? Ever. No one ever says, oh my God, where are the forks again? Yet keys or other things, right? They're always in a point of chaos. Part of why cutlery works is people understand the life cycle. It's in the drawer, neatly to my organizing orgasm, love of my life drawer organizer, the one that everybody has in their house. They're all lined up neatly, like with like, forks with fork. They're either in the drawer, they're at the table, you're using them, they're in the sink, they're in the dishwasher, they're back in the drawer. That's the life cycle of a piece of cutlery, right? Right. So, didn't everybody's mom say a place for everything and everything in its place? So now, think about the core activities of your Take Shape for Life business. What on your desk really matters? You need to have a place for it. But not just one place, you got to think of it like a piece of cutlery. So your file, let's flip ahead, I want to make sure we get this one last piece in. I actually am going to go back and just do these ones. There we go. Your file system, that's a core piece of infrastructure in your business, correct? Mm-hmm. That has got to be, you need to understand inside there, the client, the intake forms?
Profile.
Yes, the tracking sheets. What's the life cycle of the tracking sheet? There's probably gonna be a bunch of them, templates, empty, somewhere at arm's reach so you can grab a new one. You're gonna fill it out, it's gonna go into pre-client perhaps. You're gonna take it out and
Actually, that's a great place for them, is right in the pre-client folder, because you've got,
there you go.
you've got.
Pull it straight out.
You've
You
got-
can save the clutter of a hanging
You've
file.
got
Love it.
content, you got a contact in the front and then an empty one in the back, or you can put it in the bring a folder one.
Perfect.
But those of us that, like, I have several offices, I mean, this bag, this red bag is that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I can't do that, you know?
Awesome. So let's just skip back to these couple of ones that answers exactly that point. Which is, everybody heard of feng shui before?
Yeah.
Okay, so in feng shui, they have this thing called a bagua map. It's a 9-square grid that you hold over the floor plan of any given space that tells you which is your wealth corner, your relationships corner, da-da-da, right? So this is Krista's bagua map for organizing. If you hold this over any given space, this tells you where to put things. So at the heart of the space, at the core, because core is all that counts, is anything that's hot. You've got an empty ring around it, then you've got your warm items, then you've got your cold items. So when we're talking about your gorgeous red bag, hold the bagua map over the bag, center of it. That's the easy to access piece, right?
Yeah.
That's where you're keeping all your hot things. Everything probably has its
Always
own
easy.
place. Those zippered pouches that are on the outside that are difficult and hard to access, that's where you're going to put your least used items. So you can micro this down to a handbag, you can macro it out to an entire room. So giving you the example where people are already really rocking it is in the bathroom. Come on, baby. Come on, see, it's probably in on the trick that it's time up. So at any rate, keep only the things that you use and love because their energy is hot in your hot space, right? But where people are really getting this going on, naturally, is in the bathroom.